This is ESPN Esports. I'm Ardo Ocal. There is so much to unpack from the FaZe Clan Valorant Invitational that I'm actually making two videos. One of them is going to focus on the tournament itself and the state of Valorant esports. That is also available soon at youtube.com/ESPN Esports. And one of the big takeaways, of course, leads me to this video right here. Two teams that absolutely hate each other and the fans love it. I'm talking about TSM and Sentinels. They were able to meet again several times at the FaZe Clan Valorant Invitational, including the grand final, including a climactic overtime. It couldn't have gotten more dramatic than that, but then it did after the game ended. Let's unpack everything as it pertains to the now nuclear TSM and Sentinels rivalry. The first place I want to start is in the game itself, on the maps. These are two teams that are pushing each other to greatness. As they say, the best way to improve, the best way to innovate is to have competition that is constantly lighting a fire under you to be better, to perform better, to improve, and to reach for that brass ring. And that's exactly what's happening with TSM and Sentinels. Once upon a time, TSM was the consensus #1 team in North America by anybody's book, by many people predicting them or saying they are the top team in NA, and tournament results prove that. But along came a team like Sentinels with their exciting style of play, and at the time, very unorthodox choices. Sinatra using the Odin was something we didn't really see in competitive play. And the way that that 5-stack was seeing the game was much different than what players were used to seeing in top-level competition. And all of a sudden, they started getting better results and better results. And then they started meeting TSM and defeating them in those big tournaments. At PAX Arena, for example, at 30 Bomb GG. They started to rack up victories over TSM and then tournament victories on top of that, such that people started saying, wait a minute, TSM might not be the best team in NA today. It might actually be Sentinels. And even in our own power rankings, on the power ranking show that Tyler Erzberger hosts, Sentinels became the #1 team in North America. Now imagine if you're TSM. You're looking at all of this attention and adulation that Sentinels are getting, also at the expense of beating you in tournaments. And all of a sudden, you're looking in the mirror and you're saying, we can't let this happen anymore. We can't let these kids defeat us because we believe that we are still the best team in North America. And now you go back into the game and you grind and you lab and you look for strategies. You watch VODs, you review, and you look at what those other teams are doing, in particular Sentinels, and you say, this is where we can expose them. This is a weakness. This is where we can take advantage. And then you meet again at the FaZe Clan Invitational this past weekend with all of that knowledge, all of those improvements, because a team out there made you strive to be better. And then you get performances from people that weren't necessarily having a spotlight on them going into it. You have a whole boomer narrative now with two players in their 30s, Cutler and Hazed on TSM, really carrying many of the games. For example, here's a perfect storyline. Sentinels had TSM's number, in particular on Split, going into the FaZe Clan Invitational. Split was definitely not one of TSM's great maps, but in that grand final, they played Split, and TSM were finally able to exercise that demon off a fantastic performance with Hazed on the Sage. It was absolutely incredible how TSM were able to come together as a unit, and how Hazed was able to take that game into his own hands to secure the victory. It was still close, but it was a victory for TSM. And then TSM are able to win the championship, to secure it in dramatic fashion, going to overtime, but they found a way to win. And that's because these two teams are really building off of each other. You can only imagine what Sentinels are thinking, exactly what TSM was thinking going into the FaZe Clan Invitational. Now they're going to go back to the lab. They're going to go back to scrims and VOD review, and they're going to make themselves better because that's what they were able to do once upon a time, and now they can replicate that. So from a in-game standpoint, the TSM and Sentinels rivalry is really elevating the game. It is very clear that the matches that they had this past weekend were among the greatest top-level competition Valorant that we have seen anywhere, any region. And they are the ones pushing the envelope and showing us what is possible in this game. Definitely the most exciting series. Which leads me to my second point. Let's talk about everything outside of the game. You know, as a wise man once said, controversy creates cash. And believe me when I tell you, there is a lot of drama going on as it pertains to TSM and Sentinels. When you hear them talk about the other teams, you truly believe that there is something there at its core that they do not like each other. I asked Sabroza about it, actually, and how good TSM versus Sentinels is for the game. Here's what he had to say.
Well, I agree with you 100%. I think the Valorant scene in general need those kind of rivalry. If we're talking viewership, that's good for it too. But it's also good for, like, it's a new game. The players need motivation to, like, grind, come up with new things, and it just motivates everyone to, like, you know, like, show up and actually show what they can do, right? It's like, it's boring when everyone's just friends and, like, GGs and all that. Like, so I think having that early in the Valorant scene is just gonna help, like, everything, you know?
So then we get to the FaZe Clan Valorant Invitational, and we've seen all the tweets. Zoms and Sabroza want to fight. People are comparing whether Sentinels or TSM are better. One team's fan base is saying the other team's fan base is toxic. I hate TSM fans. Oh, Sentinels fans, shut your mouths. And we get to the games themselves, and TSM pull it off in the end, off the performances of players like Hazed and Cutler. And then Hazed goes on to a post-game interview on the cast itself, and then says this.
What does it mean for you as a team? Just give me your quick reactions. I can only imagine what was going on in the TeamSpeak or Discord or whatever. But what does it mean to win here today?
I mean, someone had to put them in their place. You know, they're so disrespectful, and I'm just tired of it. And someone had to do it, so you got, you know, the old guys got to come in and take care of the children. You know, that's all it is. Children need to be put in place.
I'm gonna be the one to say it. I want to see a lot more of that in my esports, in particular Valorant. You know why? It goes back to what I said earlier. Controversy creates cash. When you truly believe that there is drama, there is a rivalry among these two teams, it's going to make you care more. And the numbers proved it. A peak of 160,000 people watching if you're including the watch streams. Shout out to Myth, did a fantastic job all weekend long. But when you're including those numbers, when you're seeing six figures for a game that had its global release back in June only a couple months ago, you know that the esport is growing in the right direction, and it is growing probably better than expectations had been set. And that is because you're seeing rivalries like Sentinels and TSM that are at each other's throats, that are absolutely pushing each other to be better, and they are driving the narrative, whether it's on social media, whether it's through interviews. They are absolutely doing their part in making people care about what this nuclear rivalry is turning out to be. And that means the scene will grow, that means the competition will get better, and believe me when I tell you, in my humble opinion, TSM versus Sentinels in Valorant is the best rivalry in esports today. And it's only gonna get better from here. They will jaw-jack at each other. They will cut promos on each other. They will make you believe that they absolutely hate each other going into any tournament, and that's gonna make people watch more. So the TSM and Sentinels rivalry, I say, bring it on. It's been fantastic so far, and it will only get better from here. Let us know in the comments below which side you're on, TSM or Sentinels. And remember, controversy creates